Hey everybody, my name is Dévi and welcome to Book Connoisseur. So I am very late to post this video, but I really wanted to talk about my best books of 2024. I read 66 books in 2024 and I was super happy with my reading. I was really excited about a lot of the books that I read. You can see many of them in my video about the first half of the year that I posted back in July, I believe. I'll link it above and below. When I tell you that this January has been the longest January of my life, I am not exaggerating. My whole family has been sick since Christmas, and it's almost February, and we've been dealing with various types of grief this month. So yeah, things have been pretty slow around here, and I also feel like in that time my perspective has shifted a lot. So that being said, I am only going to tell you about the 2 books that I read last year that have been sticking in my mind this whole month. I didn't give out that many 5 stars in the last half of the year, so I didn't feel like this video was going to be different enough from my video about the first half of the year. So I will give some honorable mentions from my second half of the year that I would recommend, but I'd like to focus on the 2 books that I can't stop thinking about and haven't stopped thinking about since I read them. And what's interesting is they're actually the first book and the last book I read in 2024. So that being said, the first book I read in 2024 that I'm still thinking about is Northwoods by Daniel Mason. Now, this book you probably heard me mention many times, but if you have not read it, I think this is a really great, universally pleasing book. I don't find that my opinion of it is extremely subjective. I think that most people will enjoy this if you read it. So this book tells the story of a house in Massachusetts and the many different occupants of that house over time. The thing that has stuck with me the most is the personality of the house that comes out through these stories that you read, and each chapter is a different occupant. And I really think that this tackles some interesting questions about objects and material possessions and the power that they have and where that power comes from. These are things that have been weighing on my mind lately, and so I felt like Northwoods by Daniel Mason was an incredibly creative book and an incredibly interesting story. I actually think I want to reread it. And I just noticed on the back there are quotes from both Maggie O'Farrell and Abraham Verghese. You probably know Maggie O'Farrell, but Abraham Verghese wrote The Covenant of Water, which was my favorite book from 2023, I think. Anyway, so this was tied for my favorite book of the year for 2024. And then I tried really hard to give this book some space before I declared my love for it on the internet. I finished it over a month ago, and I'm still thinking about it. I've been in a major book hangover from it. I cannot get into anything else. Nothing's really sticking right now. A lot of other things have been going on that have been distracting me, but I also think part of that was because I just loved this book so much. And you might have guessed, it's not surprising. I've actually not watched any reviews about this book yet. The book is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I adored this book. This is Sally Rooney at her peak. Okay, so I'll give you a quick synopsis if you live under a rock and don't know anything about Intermezzo. Just kidding. It's okay if you don't know. Intermezzo follows two brothers. They're 10 years apart. So they're almost two different generations. And one is Ivan, he is 22, 23, and he is I don't want to say a chess master because I know that that's a really serious thing, but he's like a chess whiz. He's really good at chess, and he gets paid to play. And his brother is Peter, and he is a lawyer / struggling addict. And as you might have guessed, Peter has a lot of money. Ivan does not have a lot of money, and that plays a big role in this whole thing. And you also follow their romantic relationships. I don't want to give away too much because I just loved everything about it. So, why I loved this book so much, as you might know, Sally Rooney is very much into Marxism, and so I really felt the class divide. I really felt she executed examples of social division so well in this book, and just on so many levels. I mean, Sally Rooney's writing is just unreal, and I think that this book in particular, you get a good taste of how she uses her writing to enhance her characters. So you have Peter, who is an addict, and that's very much evident through the way his inner dialogue is written. It's maybe controversial to say, but so I have to give a little backstory. I am an artist. That is my career. Anyway, so I've been around a lot of creative people throughout my schooling. You can truly feel the creativity throughout this book. I could feel her creativity. I could feel her excitement through her writing style. She uses words so intentionally and gets exactly the point she's trying to make across very clearly. While I didn't watch any reviews about Intermezzo, I did listen to an interview with Sally Rooney about Intermezzo, which I will link below. I can't remember if it was a New York Times review. I don't remember. I will put it here. Here's what it looks like. It will be linked below. But what she said is, it so resonated with me as a creative, which is that she's not in control of her story. The story is in control of her. And it exists, and she's just the method for it to get out into the world. And I know if you're another creative and you recognize that kind of thought process, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. Something I often find when I'm creating something is that there's always an image or an idea you start with, and that is never where you end up. I always end up, I don't know where this came from. I don't know why it looks like that. It is what it is. And that was very much the way I felt like her interview was when she was talking about her writing process. And I really identify with that, and I really appreciate it in other people and other creatives. So yeah, these are my two best books of 2024. So some books I'd like to give honorable mentions to are, now, Douglas Stewart, this is your second time making my honorable mentions. I read Shuggie Bain this year for the first time, and I really loved it. It's a story about a young boy who has an alcoholic mother and their situation and his love and adoration for this problematic parental figure. I really loved it. I thought it was beautiful. I totally wept at the end. super emotional, and I loved it. And then the other book I'd like to give a mention to is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. This book is about 4 sisters following the death of one of the sisters. So they each have their own lives. You kind of get a glimpse into their life and their grieving process. And I'm a sucker for a grieving process novel. I think it's both a very universal experience, but at the same time extremely subjective. So I find it really interesting to read about. Yeah. Whew, that was a lot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do another video later this week about my intentions for the year and sort of what's been going on in my head and how I might reframe the books I'm reading and what's going on in the future. And I am going to leave a link in the comments below for if anybody's interested in donating to the victims of the fires in LA. I would really appreciate any contribution you could give. I'm going to be sending money to the Red Cross. And if you'd like to donate directly, you can follow the link that I'll leave below. Yeah, so happy 2025. I'm sorry that it's almost February and I'm just getting this video out. You can sort of hear I've been under the weather, but promise I will be back with a video soon. I'm actually going to release some videos that I previously recorded and never got around to editing. So those will be coming up soon, and I'll see you soon for a new video. Bye.